Good evening. You're watching WION Fine Print. I'm Aishad Sindhu. It's been a deadly day in Jerusalem. It's also been a day of celebrations. 41 people have been killed in protests in Gaza in what has been one of the worst days of violence in the region in decades. More than 2,000 others have also been injured in the clashes between the Israeli forces and Palestinian protesters along the Gaza border. The protests had begun in March but peaked today as tens of thousands of Palestinians come out to oppose the US Embassy move. Black smoke from burning tires billowed over the border and the streets in northern Gaza. Police trained tear gas shells to disperse the protesters. But away from the smoke and the protests, US and Israeli leaders assembled to celebrate the opening of the new US Embassy. The gathering hailed US President Donald Trump's decision to shift the embassy from Tel Aviv. They called it a landmark move that will help usher in peace and regional stability. Trump's daughter, Ivanka Trump, and son-in-law, Jared Kushner, attended the ceremony. The Israeli Prime Minister hailed America as Israel's true friend.
We have no better friends in the world. You stand for Israel and you stand for Jerusalem. Thank you. What a glorious day. Remember this moment. This is history. President Trump, by recognizing history, you have made history.
WION's West Asia Bureau Chief Daniele Pagani is joining me live from Jerusalem. Daniele, the visuals are just hard to digest. You've got violence, smoke and protesters on the one hand and smiling faces and celebrations on the other. How do we make sense of this day? How significant is it in West Asian history?
I think there is nothing representing as far as these two completely different set of images that we are getting out of where I am right now in the Israeli and Palestinian territories. There is nothing that portrays better the history of this place. Today, what is happening is indeed history. It was 1995 when the United States Congress voted to move their consulate, their embassy from Tel Aviv, the internationally recognized capital city of Jerusalem, of Israel to Jerusalem, the wholly contested city. No U.S. administration dared doing what they believed was perhaps the last blow to an already suffering peace process between the Palestinian and the Israeli. But President Donald Trump went far and said he wanted to commit to the promises he made to what is America's most, I would say, stable and at the end of the day reliable ally here in West Asia. On the other side of the story, there is another people who believes that Jerusalem is their own capital city, which is the Palestinians. Hamas called for massive protest in the Gaza Strip. The Israeli Defense Forces dropped leaflets from the skies in Gaza, requesting to the citizens not to get close to the fence and not to try to breach the border, otherwise they would have been treated as combating enemy.
All right. Go back to Daniele in just a second. But before we do that, let's also listen in to what Jared Kushner had to say. Remember, he is President Trump's son-in-law. He's a Jew himself and, of course, is one of the senior advisors in the White House. Listen in.
We stand together because we believe democracy is worth defending. And the United States stands with Israel because we know that it is the right thing to do. I am also proud to be here today as a member of the team that President Trump has entrusted to lead the efforts to bring peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians.
Daniele, ever since the announcement came in from President Trump about his desire to shift the US Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, we've also seen a split in world opinion. We're trying to figure out which country stands on which side. India, of course, has opted out of attending today's ceremony. Which other countries have chosen to decline the invitation to attend the ceremony? And why do you think that is a significant point to note when we're looking at the celebrations, if you will, in Israel today?
refusing to attend the celebration after an invitation of the foreign minister of Israel means saying that a certain country doesn't want to take a stand, doesn't want to take this very long step, which is doing something which means recognizing Jerusalem as the capital city. The entire European Union bloc declined to go. India, as you correctly pointed out, declined to go. India's politics when it comes to the Israeli-Palestinian territories has always been consistent. We have seen that when it was time at the United Nations to vote in order to request President Donald Trump not to shift the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, India voted on the Palestinian side. This is perhaps, when it comes to the European Union, this is the second time in a very short span of time that the European Union and the United States of America find themselves on completely opposite blocks. Remember that the European signatories of the Iranian nuclear deal, for instance, said very clearly that they intend to do everything they can in order to save the deal with or without the United States of America. So declining to go means sending a message, a clear message, which is we don't want to take a unilateral decision. We wanted the issue of Jerusalem to be decided in an international forum.
Right. Daniel, just even as we're speaking, the President Donald Trump has tweeted, he says that the US remains fully committed to facilitating the peace deal in the Middle East. We've heard Recep Tayyip Erdogan say that the United States has lost its position as a mediator when it comes to West Asia. We've seen Benjamin Netanyahu, all praises for President Trump, only obviously. But how exactly then do we sort of make sense of these statements? I mean, there are a number of countries posturing, if you will, saying that they don't agree with the United States' stand on Jerusalem. But do they really have a say in what's going on in West Asia?
I would say that one always has a say whenever it comes to any sort of international issue, especially when it comes to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This conflict has been going.
All right, we've lost our connection with Daniele. We'll try and get back to him. Remember, he is there live in Jerusalem covering both the protests and the US Embassy move for WION. Gaza isn't the only fault line that's erupting, that is burning. A new fissure has opened up on Hawaii's Kilauea volcano. It's spewing magma and pushing bubbling lava skywards, as high as a 4-story building. This latest crack in pasture land along the volcano's eastern flank is the 16th recorded fissure since the eruptions began 8 days ago. The volcano has led to widespread destruction, consuming dozens of houses. As a result, thousands of people have left their homes on Hawaii's Big Island, fleeing lava and toxic gases. Meanwhile, aerial footage of the hard-hit Leilani estates showed a reduction in lava flow, even as smoke continued to rise through thickly forested areas. The Kilauea volcano is one of the world's most active. There are fears that it will set off a series of explosive eruptions within the coming days or weeks. These could form huge clouds of volcanic smog and hurl boulders as big as small cars skywards. Pakistan's deep state has been rattled by Nawaz Sharif. The ousted Prime Minister has sparked a political storm with his comments on the stalled 26/11 Mumbai attacks probe in Pakistan. Sharif's candid admission has forced the country's National Security Committee to issue a rebuttal. The country is in the midst of a general election, and Sharif's political rivals have now turned this into a political issue. India is now somehow at the front and center of this discourse in Pakistan.
It has been 10 years since India's financial capital Mumbai was attacked by terrorists. Terrorists accused of planning these gruesome attacks still roam freely in Pakistan with the support of the army. Now, former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has decided to launch a battle against Pakistan's deep state. Questions raised by the ousted Prime Minister over the Mumbai attacks probe forced the Pakistani establishment to go into a huddle. A meeting was called in Islamabad to categorically dismiss Nawaz Sharif's statement. Pakistan's Prime Minister Abbasi chaired this meeting. A denial was later issued to the media. In the statement, the National Security Committee termed Sharif's statements as incorrect and misleading. Denying the allegations, the committee called the ousted Prime Minister's comments fallacious. But it's not just Pakistan's deep state that is worried about an aggressive Nawaz Sharif. The interview has sparked a political war. Imran Khan's party, the Tehreek-e-Insaf, launched a scathing attack on Nawaz Sharif.
ये क्या बयानियां हैं? ये क्या इंकशाफात देना चाहते हैं और किस शवाहिद की बात कर रहे हैं? पाकिस्तान पीपल्स पार्टी इस किस्म के बयानिए और इस किस्म के मौक़िफ़ को ना सिर्फ मुस्तरद करती है, लेकिन हम इससे भरपूर इख्तिलाफ रखते हैं.
Nawaz Sharif, who faces an uphill task in the upcoming general elections in Pakistan, is fighting the deep state through Pakistan's media. Speaking to the press, Sharif defended his remarks and vowed to tell the truth. The Panama Papers revelation forced Nawaz Sharif out of Prime Minister's office. General elections are just a couple of months away in Pakistan, and in this intense political contest, Pakistan's relationship with India has somehow become a political issue for all the parties. Nawaz Sharif's comments on 26/11 attacks probe in Pakistan were made when he was on a campaign trail in Multan. Sharif's former Interior Minister Chaudhry Nisar Ali Khan added more fuel to the fire. He claimed that India used the 26/11 attacks to malign Pakistan's image. Pakistan made similar accusations when a Muhammad Ali Jinnah portrait was at the center of a row in India. The portrait later became a subject of intense debate between the BJP and the Congress in India during the recent election campaign in the state of Karnataka. Bureau Report, WION.
Is Nawaz Sharif the first voice to expose Pakistan's hand in 26/11 attacks? Certainly no. While the current regime can continue to feign ignorance or deliberately keep the trial on hold, let's tell you who else has accepted that the terrorists who carried out the Mumbai attacks were Pakistanis. Last year, Pakistan's former National Security Advisor Mahmood Ali Durrani said, and I quote, "I hate to admit that the 26/11 Mumbai attack carried out by a terror group based in Pakistan on November 26, 2008 is a classic trans-border terrorist event," end quote. Durrani was Pakistan's National Security Advisor when the attacks took place in 2008. The former ISI chief, General Shuja Pasha, had told former Pakistani ambassador to the US, Hussein Haqqani, that the planners of the 26/11 attacks were quote-unquote our people, but it wasn't our operation. In 2015, the former DG of Federal Investigative Agency of Pakistan, Tariq Khosa, said that Pakistan has to deal with the Mumbai mayhem, planned and launched from its own soil. In fact, the former president, Asif Ali Zardari, was the first one to admit that the terrorists were Pakistanis back in 2009. But Nawaz Sharif's expose of Pakistan's role in the 26/11 attacks has undoubtedly rattled his own country. The establishment and the mighty army, after all, are not used to being called out in this manner. So does India gain anything out of his admission? The short answer is yes. Sharif's comment only reinforces India's position on the matter. India has evidence, solid evidence at that, on Pakistan's hand in carrying out the Mumbai terror attack, and experts believe that India undoubtedly holds an edge on the issue, and this is the right time to let the world know about Pakistan's true face. In his interview, Nawaz Sharif said how Pakistan's all-weather ally China too has warned the country on terror. Not just China, Russia has also sent out a stern message. In a nutshell, whatever their public chemistry is, Pakistan stands completely isolated on the issue of terror, and it is this weakness that India has to leverage. At present, India and China have made a conscious effort to reset their ties. Modi and Xi Jinping have taken their communication and engagement to another level. India can utilize this channel and get China to put pressure on Pakistan, not just on the issue of 26/11, but also on the contentious matter of the Jaish terrorist Maulana Masood Azhar. Remember, China has been stubborn about siding with Pakistan over designating Azhar as a UN designated terrorist. It's an open secret that Pakistan is a military state disguised as a democracy. But Sharif's interview states the obvious. It's the military that is calling the shots in the country. America has cut funding, issued warnings, and the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF, has named and shamed Pakistan. Apart from its own evidence collected during the 26/11 attack probe, India is now armed with a confession of a man who has thrice served as Pakistan's Prime Minister. The conclusion is this. The former Prime Minister of Pakistan has said what must have been admitted to long ago. Instead, Pakistan chose to continue a farcical trial without bringing the perpetrators of the 26/11 attacks to justice. The mastermind, Hafiz Saeed, roams freely in the country. Occasionally, for window dressing purposes, he is put under house arrest. And once the spotlight shifts, Saeed gets state patronage once again. India must take this up diplomatically. Big developments in the mystery death of Sunanda Pushkar, the wife of the Congress member of Indian Parliament, Shashi Tharoor. Police in Delhi have filed an abetment to suicide case against Mr. Tharoor in a charge sheet that runs into thousands of pages filed in Delhi's Patiala House Court. Police have concluded that Sunanda Pushkar was not murdered and that she had committed suicide. She was found dead in a suite of an upmarket hotel in South Delhi 4 years ago. The charge sheet filed under sections 305 and 498A of the Indian Penal Code, which pertain to abetment to suicide and cruelty, mentioned marital discord as a possible cause of suicide. The court is likely to take cognizance of the charge sheet on the 24th of May.
At this point of time, I cannot share the details because the matter is under the scrutiny of Honorable Court, and we are submitting the report to the court. But yes, what I can say that shortly we will be finalizing.
Reacting to the charge sheet, Shashi Tharoor has tweeted, and I quote, "I have taken note of the filing of this preposterous charge sheet and intend to contest it vigorously. No one who knew Sunanda believes she would ever have committed suicide, let alone abetment on my part. If this is conclusion arrived at after 4+ years of investigation, it does not speak well of the methods or motivations of the Delhi police." In October 2017, the law officer made a statement in the Delhi High Court that they have not found anything against anyone. And now, in 6 months, they say that I have abetted a suicide. Unbelievable. End quote. Staying with India, 11 people have been killed and several injured in India's eastern state, West Bengal, after clashes during local body elections. We would like to mention here that some of the visuals coming up may be disturbing for some of you. Discretion is therefore advised. The clashes were reported in South 24 Parganas, West Midnapore and Cooch Behar districts. There were also reports of ballot boxes being set on fire. Vehicles burnt and poll officials, have been attacked as well. Thousands of police and security personnel have been deployed to tighten security. On your screens, as you can see from the pictures, are from West Bengal's Asansol, where political workers use batons to thrash each other. Reports also emerging of a minister of West Bengal, Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee's government attacking a worker of the Bharatiya Janata Party. We also have an update on the number of dead. It's gone up by 2, 13 now dead in poll clashes in West Bengal.
I already said this was absolutely expected, and we are going to see even more, violent behavior from the ruling Trinamool Congress party during the votes today, and that's exactly what we are seeing. Even in the areas which are a little bit accessible by the media, you are seeing this kind of violence. A Trinamool Congress minister beating up BJP karyakartas. 4 people have already lost their lives. Ballot papers being burnt, water being thrown, openly Trinamool cadres moving around with arms, and police is just standing there. I think this is and where is the Chief Minister? I want to see the Chief Minister. She has acted like a Trinamool Netri, nothing like is she still honing her prime ministerial skills? Is she doing that? Is she somewhere else talking about her prime ministerial ambitions while her state is burning?
Hundreds of people rallied in Moscow to demand the unblocking of the Telegram app. It is the second protest in the Russian capital since authorities blocked the popular messaging service just last month. Demonstrators chanted anti-government slogans and brandished signs carrying messages against internet censorship. Some tossed paper planes in the air symbolizing Telegram's logo. Telegram was blocked on April 16th this year on orders from state communications watchdog. security access to its users' encrypted messages. Now, Russia's Federal Security Service has said it needs such access to guard against security threats such as terrorist attacks. But Telegram has said that compliance with the order will constitute a violation of users' privacy. In the process of blocking the app, the agency has also cut off access to a slew of other websites. Some 20 people have been detained at the rally, the visuals of which are up on your screen. But it's not all protests everywhere. Kitchen staff at Windsor Castle are banding together. They're readying for the royal wedding of Britain's Prince Harry and the American actress Meghan Markle, which is all set to take place at the end of this week. The royal chef Mark Flanagan said that the focus in the final week before the event is on bulk preparation, so that maximum time on the day can be devoted to how the food is presented. Around 30 staff, including chefs and assistants, will be working on the Windsor Castle kitchen on Saturday. The details of the royal wedding menu haven't yet been released, although Kensington Palace did reveal that the couple have chosen a lemon and elderflower wedding cake from an East London bakery, bucking royal tradition of serving a tiered fruit cake for dessert.
All the British vegetables are just coming into season, great tomatoes, all of the wonderful British vegetables just coming through now, and that's been a point of focus for us. We know that the couple wanted us to make sure that we used all of the local seasonal produce as much as possible throughout their